Welcome back to Amka Kenya. Remember, the hashtag is Amka Kenya, where you get a headset. It's time for us to have a look at what is making news on our dailies. Remember, you can grab a copy of The People Daily on our website, pd.co.ke, or you might as well download the app on App Store and Play Store and still get the stories on that platform. We begin with The People Daily. Let's see what is making headlines right there. It's on your screens as stated. We can see on The People Daily the polluted estates country, or the most polluted estates in the country. That's the story at the top. How ministry spent billions in non-existent schools and learners. We also have an unfortunate update right there where the last times of Riggy satirist KK Mwenyewe passes on. On the biggest story on the People Daily right there is Kenya's political fox boxed. Ruto's resilience mirrors the doctrine espoused by Nico Machiavelli in The Prince that a successful leader must be both lion and fox, fierce when needed and cunning when necessary. But how long can he do it? Joining me, or as rather this morning, to help us delve deeper into this topics is Ruth Kinyanjui, a governance expert. Ruth, morning to you. And maybe we just begin with having a look at what we're seeing on the front page of the People Daily right there. It says that Ruto's resilience mirrors the doctrine espoused by Machiavelli in The Prince that a successful leader must be both lion and fox, fierce when needed and cunning when necessary. But how long can he do it? The question there is, how long can he do it?
Thank you so much, Alan, and good morning to you both.
Yes.
So I've been looking at it at the balance, but you can tell that this year is a year that politicians or MPs and everyone want to play along.
Yeah.
Most of the time politicians will want to play so that for survival's sake, and just to ensure that they have their backs covered. So we will see that play along this year. And what you've noticed is that most of them are quiet. Even with a lot happening, politicians are quiet. Only very few that are very bold, that are coming out even to just speak on the issues on the ground. And that is expected. Yeah. And that is based even in the performance of the House in the last few seasons. We have seen that. But I doubt that is going to be the case next year. So it does not matter how they have been boxed right now, but next year it's going to be a ball game because because one of the things that politicians want is to protect their seat. People want to ensure that they protect their territories. And we are going to see a lot of different stuff happening from next year. And maybe that's when you're going to know who is sitting rightly with him for real and not for real. So there's a lot that still is hidden, and a lot of cards are under the table. So there's no, politicians are not working within their will to do what needs to be done. And that is what is happening. Actually, the combination of the whole of Jubilee, ODM, and now UDA, you cannot even tell who is in opposition and who is not. Yet they know very well, and the ground is dictating that.
Okay. You know, one of the aspects here is, Ruth, they're not able to understand the ideology of the president. We've seen a lot of the times leaders and even, the protesters saying, this is our issue, these are our issues, this is what we're saying. So in this particular article, they have said he's espousing, rather his ideology is that of Niccolo Machiavelli, very cunning, but very stealth for that matter. So is this a way that we can understand the president and what some analysts call defiance for that matter? Or is it just a way that, others can give themselves peace as to what they, like for example, the United Opposition are saying this is his way of ruling. This is just the way he's been from opposing the Constitution to agreeing to it when he was, put in office, rather when he was voted into office for that matter. Where do you place him when it comes to ideology and, what analysts are saying he's fixated on not changing things just because the nation is screaming, hey, this is where we want you, or we want you to take us?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think one of the things that we have seen is that the president had wanted Kenya he can clearly rule with a lot of very minimal problems, and that was the outright thing that happened in 2022. when he came to power, because 80% or almost, even if not 80%, 70% were for him, or within that range. And when it's that case, it's easier to rule. However, sometimes I think there were a lot of assumptions that were not taken into consideration, and especially the emerging issues that have emerged in the last 1 year. And I think when you look at the citizens, I think citizens gave him like almost 2 years to just see the direction he's going to lead them. But now with that in mind, the gaps that have been glaring for even the past 10 years are the ones that are being affecting his leadership. And that one of the cases that was ignored highly is the issue of Gen Z. Right now, no one knows even how to deal with the daring Gen Zs in terms of them going out and asking for what is rightfully theirs and demanding. No one ever saw a tribeless. We all were fixed within the tribal lines, and we can see that when it comes to politics of this country, we really are very fast to run into the political games, so that, political tribal games, so that we can be able to know you. That way you can be able to know where you are, especially as a leader. But right now, you cannot tell where you are, because already the young people form 35% of the majority. They are already 18 and above. They are within the voting range. Even those ones that were not in 2022 or more than 3 years ago, they are already within the voting range. And also, I think what has been the biggest problem is that their issues, I doubt they were even within the manifesto of this government when it comes to power. The fact that a huge disparity within what they said they will do and whatever they want to do, and that was not within. And then I also find that the advisors around also have not come with solution, because if there's something that is going to really help, maybe is a solution. But still, you've not mentioned the whole issue of fixation. I think we've seen there's a lot of that, but I think what I would call for this morning is just more of diplomacy and relaxing of issues, so that you can be able to connect with the issues of the people, and also the gaps that are also there can be a bit of reconciliation.
Okay, well, as we move on, let's continue having a look at what is making news on the People Daily, and scroll into pages 2 and 3 right there. When you go on to page 3, we have an update that states market traders lament poor sales, insecurity and distress. Many are turning to social media and local networks to push their products, while praying for stability in the political arena and an improved economy. Ruth, when you're looking at this shift into the digital era, many say it's perceived, many say it's still a long time before we get there as a fully digitized economy. Now you're looking at market traders complaining to the county government, to Nairobi governor, telling them, especially the Maasai market, telling him that business is deteriorating because tourists were our biggest selling point, but you keep shifting us from different locations to a point where most of them are shifting to the digital space. When you're looking at this trajectory that the country is taking, what do you read from this?
You said something very important, the shift. I remember those days, Kitambo, we all knew that Maasai Market on Tuesdays was somewhere along Slip Road. Yeah. Everyone will know that it is at the junction, or it's somewhere along the locals, But nowadays it's not the case. And also the fact that this destabilization have led to something that we call everyone for themselves, and God for us all. However, we've also seen that individuals also, in terms of, there is no associations in this, in most business communities. So it ends up now, there's no way you can be able to push for business as one, because you're all disintegrated. And that is, I think the whole issue of umoja is not something that we've really embraced as a people. However, every person will always want to find their own ways and how they can be able to sell for themselves, but apparently it doesn't do very well, because only a few people will go out there. So the whole issue about association is something we have ignored. Look at the business community, say for example in Nairobi City. How is that working? I want to give you an interesting case. I was out of town yesterday, and I was in this town, let me not mention the name, just so that I'm not told I'm campaigning for it. But when I was at the city center and I wanted to pay the parking fees, then I see there is a common Wi-Fi for that specific city. Whatever county, city, county the Wi-Fi. Then I was like, oh, is this thing working? And it was actually working. So, you know, those innovations, of course, are also good. And I can see they have always also been done in most of the public institutions. And if that is something that can be encouraged to ensure that it can push the markets. As per Kenya right now, I can tell you one of the markets that they have said that really sells a lot. Facebook, they say Facebook, as much as it looks like it's already outdated, it's one of the biggest selling market for Kenyan small businesses, and MSMEs are already finding their markets because they know. I think people have concluded there is no incentive that is going to come to the government to bring them together. People are still wanting to see how the sustainability of their business is going to go on, and to what extent, and how they can be able to place that on themselves.
Okay, maybe just to come in right there shortly. You're looking at a city that's grappling with trying to bring in order and give that face appeal that this is a capital city, because currently Nairobi doesn't look too good for a capital city. So when you're looking at traders always complaining, the county government trying to give them direction that we need you here to create some sort of sanity, but on the back end we have politicians and other stakeholders telling them push the county government so that is not done. What in your own capacity would you suggest should be the right way to handle this?
I think across board, there's one thing, there's a perception that is there. And I normally say whenever there's a perception, there's a narrative. And one of the perception is that the people are being seen to be disconnected with its leaders. And I'll give you an example. For example, when there was Mandamano, we saw some business community trying to protect themselves. Did you see that? Then where do such group come from when we already have a force that should be protecting its people? You understand? You can, when you see that, you can already tell that people are on themselves, and that is how they perceive. And the biggest gap, whether it's county government or the national government, I think one of the issues they should be able, what is, you know, in accounting we normally say fast in, fast out. What are the key issues? What are the low-lying fruits? Where can we start reconciliation so that the perception of the people can feel like this government, whether county or otherwise, is with them? Look at the county government. When is the last time the issues of traders were dealt with, you know, conclusively? When did we ever see, for example, the governor like really being involved in the issues that are affecting traders? And don't forget, Alan, that traders are the people who bring economic sobriety in this country. I was just looking at yesterday when they were saying that KRA has surpassed by a few billion, you know, in collecting its taxes. Then as much as KRA is becoming efficient, how are we making the business more efficient to be able to pay these taxes? And if those gaps are ignored, then we are going to suffer in the years ahead, because there's not going to, there'll be nothing to collect if people do not have something that they are earning. And one of the biggest things that should be concentrated on from a national level to even a county level is the ease of doing business in this country, where people feel so constrained.
All right.
Ni kweli. Just before I even pose my question, kuna statement ambayo imenivunja moyo kama mfanyabiashara, kama Mkenya. Someone here says ya kwamba in that story on page 3 of People Daily, inasema ya kwamba sometimes a whole day goes without any sales. That means you can't pay your supplier or restock. It is tough cycle. This John Musili, a business trader from Masai Market, talking about it. But now, yes, we have the mess in our country. Itachukua muda gani for everything to come as normal? Yes, Azana amesema kwamba watalii wanapotea. Ni lipi la kufanywa turegeshe kila kitu into normal?
Okay. One of the things that I have always felt that has been left out is a few agendas. And you know, manifestos really work towards a trajectory. The government is going to concentrate, whether it's tourism, whether it's enabling business, and the things that really attract investors to our country. Maybe just let me pose a question that has come from him. When is the last time you guys ever bought something from Masai Market? Let's be honest, you know. I'm sure we can go back and say we haven't had that opportunity, because previously people used to buy a lot from it because they used to feel the pride of wearing a bracelet. I can't see any one of you with it. You know, yeah. You know, you see Amka Kenya, really, you know. So some of these things also have, even the internally, people are really, do not really have that appetite. That is number one. Number two, despite us being so, being perceived as people who are welcoming visitors, but we are also not keen in terms of marketing ourselves and the pride of Kenya. That is the other thing. The third thing that also really has diminished a lot of tourism and also people who used to buy some of these things. It's the ease of doing business. It's very difficult. You have more than licenses. We are not doing very well even in terms of our cost of doing business in Kenya. It's very expensive compared to the region. So when you look at all that and a mix of all those issues, then it is becoming very difficult to earn. And the fact also that the fact that people are not selling even locally the minimum that can be able to support business, it makes it very difficult to even rely on the outsiders to be the people driving our business.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's take a look at page 5. There's a story under there. Now, still in the context of, our economy and businesses in the nation. Now, it says here, state eyes special economic zones for foreign investments. And on the picture we have there on the screen, rather on the paper, is Stephen Jennings, founder and CEO of Rendezvous developer of Tattoo City, looks on as Trade Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui signs the visitor's book. Now, in this story, it says, the government is focusing on special economic zones to attract foreign direct investment. Trade Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui says, speaking when he visited Tattoo City, the 5,000-acre mixed-use SEZ, Kinyanjui commended the project as the best example of a special economic zone and noted the government's readiness to make reforms that promote, such investments for that matter. So we're looking at, from everything you said, because everything is interconnected, we're seeing, innovations, projects. This is not new, but we're just being we're given details on how, things are progressing for this matter. But in the long run, when we have projects like this that may take a while, but they're in development and they've reached a particular point, how do we practically or ideally look at such matters to benefit us in the long run, right? And we also have Vision, 2030 for that matter. So our economy is looking the way it's looking. KRA is collecting the taxes it's collecting, but I want to make this as simple as possible, where Kenyans would be like, nasema inaendelea vizuri, lakini mimi kama mwenyeji sioni, I can't touch this economy that they're saying on paper that looks this good. So I want you to marry what we are seeing in the news as these heavy investments, deals and the like to what is practically happening when Mwananchi say, hey, Mante, my pockets are hurting. I'm not feeling, this economy.
The reason why I'm smiling is because we all know when Tattoo City started. Yeah, the kind of uncomfortable situation that it brought to even our politicians because of the fact that they could not understand that project and wherever they were headed, and the fact that people really wanted to understand their concept and they could not.
And some people still don't.
Oh, yes. And still, even I can take you back to less than 2 years ago. There was a whole issue of the issues that maybe it was being said that the county is limiting them from doing business, And I can tell you, yes, we can be able to see the fruits right now of what is happening to Tattoo City, whether it's investment, that industrialization that is happening there, or the housing projects that are happening there, or many other things that are happening there. But let me tell you, it has come from as a result of a lot of pain that are behind the scenes because of the limitations that have come from such a big project. And we can be able to see it taking shape, but it comes with a lot of restrictions that I think there's even a time it was being said it has been closed, if you can remember, I think more than 10 years ago or around 10 years ago. And you can tell the reason why they are here now, there has been a lot of resilience. So this thing is not sparing you as a big developer or you being as a small timer in Kenya. There are whole issues. If you can look at the issues of land in any counties right now, any county, whether it's Nairobi, there was a whole issue of Adisasa like 2 years ago where land were not, there was such a big problem in transacting for land. And the same issue is happening to even Kiambu right now,
Tattoo City,
and where the Tattoo City project falls in. And even they even complained publicly that the governor is limiting, and those are things that were said. So it doesn't meet. And also, I even peg it down to now, the licenses, for example, that the small traders are being charged both from county level, whatever county, or not. The cost of land also has gone up. There are those things that are coming every year, and you won't notice because maybe it doesn't happen to many people. Say, for example, if you're buying land, You know, it's very expensive because it's no longer like the 2% that used to be there. It has gone to double. You know,
Okay.
and there's a lot of problem that each person, whether you are at high end, whether you are a big investor, or whether you're a small person, that are going on. How can that be reconciled?
Okay.
Alright.
Yes, mtazamaji,
Yes.
asubuhi ya leo we are mourning kifo cha mcheshi from nchini Kenya kwa jina KK Comedian ambaye siku ya jana aliweza kuaga dunia, and we have seen a couple of MPs from Kenya, that is Kiharu MP Nini Nyoro ameweza kumwomboleza, aliaga jana mida ya asubuhi baada ya kuweza kuugua kidogo. So that story highlighted on page 2 of People Daily. Kenyan Mons Gachagua satirist KK mwenyewe ambaye aliaga dunia siku ya jana. We have seen Busia Senator Okiya Omtata ameweza pia kutuma risala zake za rambirambi, lakini pia siku ya jana aliyekuwa naibu wa rais Rigathi Gachagua pia ameweza kusema kwamba I have this morning woken up to the sad demise of Zakaria Kariuki. That's a story, you can read it on page 2 of People Daily. This morning the creative department of Kenya, the creative world of Kenya, is mourning the death of Gachagua satirist, that is KK mwenyewe. That is page 2. And now shifting our gears from page 2, ningependa mtazamaji nikuulize swali, je, kama Gen Z unapanga kuwa na watoto? Page 18 of People Daily inasema kwamba, wacha nikusomee. Children were once seen as a measure of legacy, but today many women are challenging that idea is pursuit of freedom, ambition, and story imekuwa ileta hapo, as you can see on page 18. You can just have a look at it on page 18. Yani, nowadays Remy and Alan and Madam Ruth, they are saying watoto sio must. That's what they are saying.
I think Ruth is better placed to
and
answer
you're
this.
smiling. Tell us why.
Young women are in the pursuit of freedom. Is this an illusion? Is it a facade?
Yes, they are saying kama watoto ni kama ni njia moja ya kuweza kuwafunga, freedom hakuna na kila kitu. What do you think?
I think there has been really a lot of societal changes in the last few years. First, we have seen that the concept of even relationship is not what used to be there, and the whole of interchanging of even core values when it comes to the societal issues. And maybe women have felt not really protected like they used to be before, because somebody will get a child with you and leave you and even never call you. So that lack of attachment, of course, is making women take their decision. And the fact that also women have to do a lot of heavy lifting, just like men, then of course now women are at a better stage of making their own decision, not like previously.
Hapa kwa history wameangazia masuala kadhaa yakisema kwamba it's a choice, wameongelea financial stability, wameongelea stories that children are not retirement plans, among other things in this story, that you can get that story on page 18 ya kwamba changing social norms empower people to go to child free. Mzamaji, that is page 18 and page 19 of People Daily. And now before I shift and hand over the gears to Remy and Alan, naomba nikuambie about page 22. Can you just check at page 2? Nowadays kumekuwa na mitindo ya kuvaa sana, na people wamesema kwamba the western culture imeharibu sana kwa njia kubwa sana wasichana wa Kenya. So story imekuwa highlighted on page 22 of People Daily. Just make sure you just go and read it, alafu angalie on how trends zimebadilika na masuala mbalimbali. I shall be talking about that story, by the way, from 9 a.m. live on Trend Talk. I shall be talking more about that story.
Very well, Tony. Thank you for that. Let's now have a quick look at what else is making headlines on the Daily Nation. Right there, the key headlines. Scandal of stolen free school funds. The Office of the Auditor General has exposed shocking fraud that saw 33 non-existent schools receive billions of shillings in the past 4 years, even as thousands of public primary and secondary schools across the country on the brink of closure due to underfunding that has piled up to the staggering 117 billion. That is the biggest story on the Daily Nation. Let's move to the Standard. The Standard says, reign of anarchy. This is with regards to the statement issued by the CS for Interior Murkomen yesterday on the state of the security. 42 people killed so far in the June 25th and sub protest. 600 people were injured and 1,500 people have been put in custody. Just as we wind down, Ruth, in just under 30 seconds, maybe if you just comment on that. Schools, we're still having schools in this day and era receiving funding that are non-existent, 33 of them.
And then also with the competition from 20 years ago.
I think it's very sad.
Yeah.
I think if two things that, even if the government cannot be able to do anything else, two things that they should be able to maintain. One of it is schools, and the second thing is healthcare.
Okay. Ruth, with that, we're so sorry to interrupt
No,
you, but
no
we
worry.
need to take a short break. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, and thank you for coming on for the segment. And we need to take a short break. You're watching Amka Kenya, and of course, we'll be back. And Alan is hosting the one and only Cyrus Durango back when he will be back with Polytalk. Stay with us.
All right.
He's long.